The buy now, pay later trap explained. I myself love putting something on Klarna. And maybe I should stop. Maybe this is a sign. So maybe we could learn something. This is by Grant Rudeau. Hopefully I'm getting your name right, but let's get into this.
Why is pay in 4 so addictive?
I literally once financed a bottle of body wash.
Now, I ain't financed no bottle of body wash. But I did, however, finance a pack of white beaters. Don't judge me. Don't judge because it sounds so goofy now, bro. I financed some protein powder.
You know what? I'm going to Afterpay this. It's going to make me feel less guilty to pay it in 4 installments of $81 or whatever.
That's like having a black American Express to me. I can use it anywhere, anytime I get ready.
I'm using Klarna to pay for these Chris Brown tickets.
Look at this chart right here. This shows the total non-housing consumer debt in America over the last 10 years. And in 2024, Americans collectively owe more than $5 trillion, which is enough to pay for every NFL, NBA, and MLB team 10 times over. And
damn. All right, that's enough to make me stop right there. No more Klarna, no more Afterpay, cuz you can't buy it twice, don't buy it. When I had no money for real, you know what I'm saying? When the funds was low, that was the rule. If you can't buy it twice, I ain't buying it. But then Klarna came out. I need to go back to that rule.
And to make matters worse, we are constantly surrounded by psychological tricks and hidden fees to drive us further and further into debt. The worst of these tricks, the buy now, pay later programs that have been designed to take advantage of young adults.
So when you buy a $100 pair of shoes and you only have to pay $25 that day, and then the pair of shoes show up at my apartment 3 days later, the shoes are $25. Why do I care if in 2 months I have to pay another $25? I don't know me 2 months from now. She can deal with that.
Buy now, pay later is a short-term financing option that is offered by companies like Affirm, Klarna, or Afterpay. You'll typically see these options pop up on e-commerce stores, offering you the ability to buy what you want today while deferring your payment over a certain number of installments.
I ain't gonna lie. I feel like that saved a lot of e-commerce sites, because if you ever been online shopping or something, like if I want to grab a couple hats or something, and you got like 3-4 things in that cart, you go over there, you quickly it turns to $150, $75, $80. You like, $5 shipping too. Maybe I'm not buying this today. Swipe out and never buy it. But you see that Afterpay, $22. Yeah, looking a little bit more desirable.
So if you're looking to buy a new suitcase for a trip you have coming up and it's going to cost you $300, instead of paying that all today, you could buy the suitcase.
See? Look a little bit more desirable. $79 don't look too bad, even though it's really $80. $79 don't look too bad. It's only $70 really.
Today, and then split the $300 across 4 equal interest-free payments. And you might think, great, interest-free. I can just sign up for these payments and then worry about paying it sometime later down the road. But it's not quite that simple. These buy now, pay later programs aren't necessarily groundbreaking financial technology. In fact, buy now, pay later programs are kind of a newer, modernized version of the old school layaway programs that you would see at stores like Kmart and Sears. These layaway programs allowed you to place a deposit on an item.
You know what I'm saying? You have a good Christmas off the layaway. You know what I'm saying? Mama put that PlayStation on layaway, cuz. Put them clothes on layaway, cuz.
Like a dishwasher, for example. And then the store would reserve that dishwasher for you to collect once you had paid off the dishwasher through their installment plan. But these layaway programs kind of fell off throughout much of the mid-20th century, mainly due to the introduction of credit cards and revolving lines of credit. Instead of using a layaway program and waiting to collect their item, people could just swipe a credit card, get their item today, and then worry about paying off that over the next couple months or years. The only problem is that a credit card will incur interest. People realize that if they didn't pay their credit card down on time, they would end up owing more than they initially spent on the item. So along came the modern marvel that is buy now, pay later, which gave you the best of both worlds. Get your product today, pay it off over a longer period of time, all while doing it interest-free. And that idea began hooking people in. because buy now, pay later has seen some explosive growth over the last 5 years, going from $2 billion in transaction volume in 2019 to $24.2 billion in 2021, and it's projected to reach as high as $122 billion in 2025. But this explosion wasn't just happening in a vacuum. It's actually part of three major cultural shifts that we've been seeing. First is the financialization of everything, meaning we've moved from a completely cash-based society to a society in which we look at even a $5 coffee as an opportunity to finance the transaction. Second, we have the rise of social media-driven consumption. As influencers showcase luxury lifestyle and products, buy now, pay later allows the average consumer the ability to experience those same things without actually incurring the cost today. And third, we have the post-pandemic spending boom, which has consumers using buy now, pay later as a form of revenge spending or buying things they feel like they missed out on during the pandemic.
Nah, cause you know what I'm saying. If you was in the pandemic, it wasn't. I was spending in the pandemic. It wasn't no post. You know what I'm saying. I ran it up, but yeah, good times. No pandemic, for me. But nah, man, I don't really. Yeah, I ain't subscribing to the revenge thing. I ain't never feel like I really missed out on anything. I miss social interaction. That's what I missed. Going and doing stuff without having to be, like that. So that's what I missed. It wasn't me no spending. If anything, like my movie going. I'm starting to go back to the movies a little bit more, but like I was missing that too. Like I was like, I went about like a couple years without going to the movies. I'm not going to the movies anymore. Then now I'm going back again. I go to the mall a lot less though.
Combine all of that with a declining financial literacy among most young adults, and you have the perfect storm to make buy now, pay later explode as a new mentality. But why is this even a problem? If they're not charging interest, how can they actually be taking advantage of me as a consumer? To answer that question, we first need to look at the differences between buy now, pay later programs and traditional credit cards. Because on the outside, they're basically the same thing. Both financial devices allow you to buy something today that you might not necessarily be able to afford or be willing to put cash down today for. But a credit card usually involves some sort of approval process, application, review, and a credit report hit. Meanwhile, buy now, pay later programs offer an almost instantaneous approval for your purchase in the moment. Additionally, as we discussed, credit cards can accrue interest if not paid off by the end of the month. And that rate can be at crazy high rates, usually around 19 to 23%. On top of that, if you're late with your payment or you miss a payment, credit card companies can also add on late payment fees that just end up waterfalling you into insane amounts of credit card debt off of fairly simple purchases to begin with. And on the other hand,
I ain't gonna lie. These are like small installments, but like if you do have a credit card, bro, don't get a credit card. The only reason you have your credit card, right, is like if you need a rental car. But if you ain't got no debt, don't get in debt. Or if you instantly paying stuff off to get points, like for flights or vacation or cash back, cool if you paying it off. But other than that, do not swipe that credit card. I'm telling you, it add up. Use that debit card, bro. Don't just leave the credit card at home. Don't put it in your Apple Pay. Use your debit card. Don't swipe. I know, like I joked around it. I love like the paying in full, which like I did utilize it because reasons. He explaining it right now, but let me tell you something. Do not be swiping that credit card willy nilly. And I don't know. This seemed like you could rack up like a lot of installments. Like if you like serial online shopper, like this could probably rack up on you. I never really went over like having like 2 running concurrent, but this looked like a slippery slope as well. So just be mindful, bro.
Buy now, pay later offers 0% interest, which sounds great, but that all depends on if you actually pay your payments on time. If you don't, you'll be subject to late payment fees that can range anywhere from $2 to $15 per payment and going all the way up to 25% of the total value of the purchase you made initially. And with all that said, buy now, pay later still might sound like a perfectly good alternative to credit cards, which is exactly what they want you to think. Because buy now, pay later programs weren't necessarily designed to help the consumer like you or me. They were
But you're not building credit. Like at least with the credit card, you could build your credit score. Is he gonna explain if you could build credit off this or not? I'm gonna wait and then I might Google search it at the end, but I don't think you could build credit off buy now, pay later.
Designed for stores and brands that want to sell more through their website or in their stores. After all, that's why brands are willing to pay 2 to 3% more for their transaction fees to use a buy now, pay later program versus a traditional credit card processor. To give you an example, let's look at a $100 purchase. If you bought a $100 item using a normal credit card on their site, the brand was typically going to incur about a $2.50 charge to process that payment. And on the other hand, if you were to use a buy now, pay later program, that transaction fee that the brand has to pay goes from $2.50 to about $5. But the merchant fees are just the beginning when it comes to buy now, pay later. So let's look at how these companies actually make money beyond just charging the brand that hosts them on their website. First, like we just discussed, they're going to collect that merchant fee, which is anywhere from 4 to 6% of the transaction price. Second, they profit from late fees, like we talked about earlier, which has turned out to be a pretty substantial revenue source for companies like Affirm and Klarna, because 1 in every 3 users of these buy now, pay later programs actually ends up missing a payment at least.
Man. How? Ain't your debit card on there? Man, let me not. I don't know what people's situations is. I ain't gonna judge. But if you got the money and you missing these payments, I gotta look at you a little. I gotta side eye you a little bit.
At least once. And third, every purchase that is made reveals something about you or your shopping habits, and these companies have realized that that is very valuable.
These niggas always stealing my data, bruh. These niggas always trying to steal my data. Even if you can't duck it. Even if you say don't allow everything you put on your every app you download, they always asking, oh, can we track you? No, you can't track nothing. Don't track nothing. And they find a way to get it. They gonna get that data one way or another, and they gonna sell your shit. I can't even get a percentage off the shit I'm looking up.
Information for other brands. So they actually harvest a lot of the data from your checkout pages and then sell it to other brands that can then use it in their marketing or in their ad target. And finally, they benefit from the sheer volume of loans being opened up by packaging yours and everybody else's debt together and selling it to larger financial institutions. They can make money even when you pay on time. In other words, they've created a system where they win no matter what happens to you financially. So now let's look at buying an iPhone for $1,000. When you reach the checkout page, you have 3 options. Number 1, pay the full $1,000 up front. This is the simplest, cleanest, and easiest way to get out of the checkout scotch-free. Option 2, you could use a credit card with the typical 22% APR to purchase the phone. And if you only made the minimum payments, you would end up paying about $1,480 over the course of 5 years, with $480 of that being the interest alone. And option number 3 is you could use Afterpay's 4-payment installment plan, where you pay $250 today and then $250 every 2 weeks until the plan is paid off, which sounds like the best deal to you. You see, brands have mastered psychological manipulation throughout their...
It's only like a quarter. You only paying a quarter every 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? That's 3 paychecks if you get paid weekly. That's, you know what I'm saying? It might be 2 checks if you get paid bi-weekly. So it's just the math that people do to justify stuff. I know that's some of the stuff I do to justify it in your brain.
Their website, but specifically on the last hurdle, which is the checkout page. And they do this through 4 key tricks. First, they exploit what psychologists call the pain of paying. By splitting the cost over a longer period of time, your brain actually registers less financial pain than paying the full amount up front. Second, they trigger what is called the temporal discounting, which is our tendency to value immediate rewards more than future benefits, or otherwise known as instant gratification. Pay just $25 today and it's yours sounds a lot better than waiting and saving up for it. Third,
we're paying $1,000 today. Shit. The 25 look a lot different than 1,000, or the 250 look a lot different than 99.99. You know what I'm saying? They look a lot different. Or you paying $1,000 or paying $200, it look a lot different.
Third, they will create artificial urgency by simulating limited time offers in the checkout page. And finally, they use colors and shapes to direct your eye exactly where they want you to be looking. Have you ever noticed that the buy now, pay later button is often highlighted in a brighter color, and it's sometimes even pre-selected when you reach the checkout page? These aren't accidents. These are specific design decisions to short circuit your brain to making a financial decision more.
You know where else they do this bullshit at? When you trying to cancel a subscription, bro. Why when the cancel button is tiny, the link to click cancel for sure, and then the oh no keep is in big bold and blue. But usually the cancel button is the bigger button. But they trick you into going back because you just clicked it too fast. I caught them the other day doing that, bro. These companies is slimy, smart. I can't knock them. They smart, but slippery, slimy.
Or on an impulse than with rational thinking. Instead of thinking about a $100 purchase rationally and over a longer period of time, they'd rather have you just click the pay $25 now and worry about it later on. And again, this isn't necessarily a bad deal because people are always looking for interest-free ways of purchasing things so that their money can go and earn them more money while they're paying off the other thing that they purchased. But to do so requires some financial education or experience. And sadly, most Americans are completely undereducated when it comes to financial literacy. So the instant gratification syndrome kicks in and they buy practically everything with buy now, pay later, with no real concern that they will in fact have to pay that off at some point. All they're worried about is the price that they will pay today, which is exactly how you end up with this.
I've done groceries. I've done all kinds of crap on Affirm and Klarna.
What? You need, man. I'm sorry, man. You grown as hell. Why? Why would you let this rack up like this? You need your ass whooped. I'm sorry. How? What were you buying? What were you buying? At least like what I'd rather. I wouldn't you rather have this on a credit card because you could accrue interest, but at least you could get some type of benefit or points from your credit card if you was paying $1,200 a month. But on Affirm,
but it adds up and then you are in a chokehold. And in some ways, it is worse than having credit card payments. It's crazy.
Because buy now, pay later is so easy to do, people are starting to use it on more and more occasions where it's really not meant to be used. Instead of just using it on a big purchase like a new fridge or a TV, they're starting to use it on smaller things and truly financing items that have no business being financed. A crazy story that we recently saw is that Klarna is now on DoorDash.
they about to piss me off, bro. They about to piss me off. They about to piss me off. You about to finance a Popeye chicken sandwich. Y'all better not be financing Chick-fil-A. Why? Why do you? If you were struggling, like the only exception I'm giving is if you on your knuckles. And even if you is on your knuckles, why you door dashing? You should be. All right, let's continue.
Which allows you to finance your $15 burrito over 4 payments of $375 instead of paying the full $15 up front. Again, not a necessarily terrible thing when looked at in a
No, it's a terrible thing. Nope. You don't. Nope.
vacuum. But when you expand this to consider that someone who's financing a burrito is also probably financing a lot of other things, that's when the real problem starts to arise. Bad spending habits like this lead to what we call loan stacking. Pretty much what it sounds like, taking out loan after loan after loan and stacking them on top of each other. And because buy now, pay later programs make it so easy to do so, most consumers don't even realize how much debt they're actually accruing. In fact, in 2022, 63% of buy now, pay later borrowers had more than one loan going at one time. And this is where it gets really scary. Because these programs are designed to offer credit with little to no approval process, it's almost like they're targeting people that don't know how to manage their money.
All right, that's exactly what they're doing. Man, I feel so bad for using this, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all, bro. I used it, bro. I used it, but it wasn't to this extent, dog. It wasn't to this extent. Like this is crazy.
they see is, oh, I can buy this $1,000 thing for $250 today, and they just click buy. When in reality, over 69% of buy now, pay later users are already in debt on another credit card. And 28% of buy now, pay later borrowers are between the ages of 18 and 24 years old. Most of these people don't even understand the concept of how a credit card works, and by giving them this buy now, pay later option, it's almost like they have this unlimited stream of money that never needs to actually be paid off. Again, don't get me wrong, there are definitely some advantages to the system if you know how to play it, but the vast majority of people using the system are not taking advantage of it. They are just getting taken advantage of. So what do you do? As a consumer, should I completely stay away from buy now, pay later, or are there some circumstances where it makes sense? And to answer that question, the most important piece of advice I can give you is to never spend more than you currently have, whether that be through a credit card or a buy now, pay later option. If you don't have the cash in your bank, don't spend it. And that is by far the easiest way that you can keep yourself out of credit card debt. And if you feel confident in your financial abilities, feel free to use a credit card or a buy now, pay later option to earn more interest on your cash while it's sitting in your account versus just spending it immediately. But if you don't feel confident about this, treat your credit cards in a buy now, pay later program as if it's hooked directly up to your checking account. If you spend $100, that's $100 coming directly out of your account. Another tip I have is to avoid stacking these loans, because that is where things can get very messy very quickly. If you start financing weekly expenses like gas, groceries.
Yeah, that should just be, I feel like, again, not judging. I don't know everybody's situation. The bare necessities you should be covering. The big stuff, like if you, again, it's Christmas, it's you know what I'm saying, it's Thanksgiving, it's birthdays coming up, and you need to finance a couple things, like how people used to use layaway. I said you could have a good Christmas if you was using layaway back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I had a single mom, but if you just like this is a little bit of self-reflection too. Probably shouldn't have been financing protein powder, but they had a sale on Black Friday, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I bought like a couple tubs and, you know, threw them in the cupboard. Paid off like $20 here and there, but I had the money to pay for it all at once. I just didn't want it to all leave my bank account all at once, but I had the money. You know what I'm saying? But my rule of thumb was, I said it earlier, is if I can't buy it twice, then I don't have no business buying it. I have no business buying it, bro.
Or that Friday night Chipotle bowl, it becomes a slippery slope, because it is 100 times easier to get into debt than it is to get out of debt. But there you have it, the truth about buy now, pay later. These companies spend millions of dollars on psychological research to get you to spend more than you can actually afford. But now you know a little bit more about how to protect yourself. And if you like this video, make sure to check out this video that covers the business of Formula One and how billionaires.
All right, man. Good video, dog. Hey, I actually enjoyed that. That was educational. I won't say I'll never use buy now, pay later again, but I'll be a little bit more mindful when I am using it. And I think this was helpful. So shout out to him, dog. Good content. And without further ado, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Most importantly, subscribe, dog. You know what I'm saying? The video is doing decent. We getting some good engagement, man. So I'm saying, do me a solid, drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this. And without further ado, I'ma get us up out of here. Cool.